It all started in a dimly lit apartment, deep in the heart of an unnamed city. The room was cluttered with high-powered computer rigs, their LED lights casting eerie glows against the walls. A single figure sat in the center of this digital kingdom, his fingers dancing across the keyboard at lightning speed. To the world outside, he was nothing but a ghost, a faceless entity behind a screen. But inside the Darknet, he was building an empire. His real name? Nobody knew for sure. Some called him Daniel. Others swore his alias was Ghost Admin. What was certain, however, was his rise to power. He had started small, credit card scams, selling fake identities, running phishing schemes. But he was ambitious. He saw the flaws in the Darknet's underworld, the inefficiencies of scattered cybercriminals who lacked leadership. That's when he made his move. He created the Syndicate, an underground marketplace unlike anything seen before. It wasn't just a place to buy stolen data or illegal substances. It was a network, a structured organization with hierarchy, trust, and security. Kingpin ensured anonymity, encrypted transactions, and ironclad loyalty. If someone broke the rules, they disappeared, both digitally and, sometimes, in real life. Law enforcement had caught wind of his operations early on. Special Agent Richard Calloway, a seasoned cybercrime investigator, had been tracking a string of fraudulent transactions that led back to the Syndicate. But every time he got close, the trail vanished like smoke in the wind. Kingpin was always one step ahead. Then, something changed. A careless hacker, someone lower in the Syndicate's ranks, got caught. In exchange for a deal, he whispered the name that sent chills down Calloway's spine. Kingpin. Now, the chase was on. Calloway knew this was bigger than anything he had tackled before. But Kingpin wasn't just a hacker. He was a strategist, a manipulator, a ghost. The deeper Calloway dug, the more he realized that this wasn't just about cybercrime. This was about control. Meanwhile, Kingpin was already preparing for war. He had infiltrators inside law enforcement, informants feeding him data before it even reached the desks of investigators. He knew about Calloway. He knew they were coming. And he wasn't about to go down without a fight. What neither of them knew, however, was that there was another player in the game, someone neither side had accounted for. A silent observer lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when they did, everything would change. The silence of the dark web was deceptive. Transactions worth millions were happening in the blink of an eye. Identities were being stolen and traded, and in the heart of it all sat Kingpin, orchestrating it like a grandmaster. But the game had changed. He had been named. The authorities were closing in, and he needed to act fast. He pulled up his private network, a system of encrypted servers spread across multiple countries, bouncing signals through layers of anonymity. With a few keystrokes, he initiated the Purge, a protocol he had designed for this exact situation. Every traceable asset, every transaction, and every stored log was wiped clean. His digital fortress vanished like a ghost into the void. But Calloway wasn't working blind anymore. The hacker they had turned had given them a lead, an offshore account linked to one of Kingpin's shell companies. It was a breadcrumb, but it was enough. Calloway and his team tracked it to an obscure island, where they suspected one of Kingpin's operational hubs was hidden. The Cybercrime division prepared to launch an international sting. Kingpin, however, was already 2 steps ahead. He had been monitoring law enforcement channels, feeding off insider leaks. He knew they were coming. Instead of running, he laid a trap. On the night of the raid, Calloway's team moved in, tactical units, cyber specialists, all ready to bring down the elusive mastermind. But as they breached the supposed hub, they found nothing but an empty server room with a single screen flashing a message. "You're too late. I own this game." Then, the power cut out. A second later, Calloway's phone buzzed. A new deposit had just been made into his personal account. $1 million, untraceable. A warning. A mockery. Kingpin had turned the tables. Somewhere in the digital abyss, he watched, smirking. The hunt was far from over. This was just the beginning. Calloway's hands trembled as he stared at the notification on his phone. The deposit wasn't just an insult, it was a challenge. Kingpin was taunting him, showing him just how deep his reach extended. The agent clenched his jaw and turned to his team. "We need to rethink our approach." Back in his hidden enclave, Kingpin was already shifting the pieces of his game board. He had expected the raid. and it had played out exactly as he had orchestrated. Now, it was time for his next move. He pulled up a secure chat room and typed a single command: Operation Blackout. Within minutes, coordinated cyber attacks began across multiple financial institutions. ATMs spewed cash uncontrollably in city centers. Stock markets flickered with erratic activity. Data centers were breached, leaking sensitive government files onto hidden forums. It was chaos, and the world was watching. Calloway and his team scrambled to contain the damage. But in the midst of the turmoil, he noticed something. Hidden within the attack patterns was a signature, a trace of code that looked familiar. He had seen it before, buried in the archives of past cybercriminal cases. And suddenly, he realized the truth. Kingpin wasn't working alone. There was another force at play, one that even he might not have complete control over. And if Calloway was right, things were about to spiral far beyond anyone's grasp.